What's up? Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to Crypto and Coffee here on Decentralized TV. We talk about crypto, we drink about coffee, and I hope everyone's feeling great. I'm feeling saucy. Saucy. So, yeah, a little later show today. I had some household stuff I was working on and it interrupted our normal schedule. So, apologies there, but we still show up. We still show up. We're not gone. We're still here. Let's take a look at the markets. We do that. We look at things, and we've had some really nice price action. I'm feeling what's going on here. So we have Bitcoin in the last 7 days, 22%. How you doing? Does that mean we're out of my background? Does that mean we're out of a bear market? Probably not, but we certainly have a little mini pump here because the ETFs are looking nice. So people see the ETF money coming in. They're like, yo, traditional investors, normies coming in. I kind of like that. So I think that's the reason under the hood. We're seeing a lot of people, really coming into the space more bullishly. So in the last hour, even 2.4%, and in the last 24 hours, 3.6%. So Bitcoin is a bit on a tear, testing 31K right now. We'll look at the price action on the charts in a moment here. Ethereum being a little brother, copying it, but just not as cool. Up 1.3% in the last 24 hours. But in the last week, we have almost 15% up on Ethereum. So if you're an ETH holder, good for you. You're in the green a little bit. And then, coming down, we have more notably Dogecoin, thinking about doing something fun, 1.3% in the last 24 hours. So reason I point out Dogecoin is because typically Doge is a lagging indicator. Bitcoin will pump, people will slip their money over to Dogecoin. Litecoin will pump, people will slip their money over to Dogecoin. And that's because Doge is the cheapest transaction fee wise. You can, for like almost free, move money on Doge. So people do that, and when they do that, volume goes up, and when volume goes up, price goes up because traders try to swing it. So pay attention to Dogecoin if you don't already have a bag. I'm not saying you should, but I'm saying I do. Litecoin, same deal, 18% up for the week. But today, a humble 3.4%, still green as green, baby. And then Polygon, 19% up in the last week. I think that's quite promising, looking over Ethereum being way less than that. So it's my opinion Polygon is going to be the price leader even beyond Ethereum. So, Monero also seeing some 13.8%. And strangely, a lot of people have been talking about Bitcoin Cash lately. Now, I'm not very bully on Bitcoin Cash. I think it needs a different name. Maybe Roger Ver Coin or Bcash, something like that. But 52% up in the last week. So if you're swing trading and you happen to have some of this silly Bitcoin fork, you're sitting pretty. 52% ain't bad. And really, I think the reason for this is the fact that it's a proof of work and it's not suspect to be a security. It's suspect to be a commodity. Same with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. Those are the ones that I think people are quite seriously looking at as a commodity and not a not a other thing. Dogecoin is also on that list of being a commodity and not a security. So honestly, if you're holding any of those coins, whenever the FUD starts happening, those are the ones that are typically listed on even the Hong Kong exchanges. So I think having any position in those when it dips is probably going to do you right in the long run. So let's take a look at the charts. We'll whip it out, but not to be rude, just the charts. Don't be a prevert. So this is Bitcoin, right? These are our candles, dude. Like we had this big old dilly bar right here. Everyone's going to Dairy Queen, but we zoom out. These are day candles. You can see where we're at. Right? You can see typically all of these bottom to top movements, and really that's how I want us to look at this. We have like before we had this bull run over here in 2020 to about where it capitulated. We're looking at 147 days. And then it was stayed in a bear position for 70 days. And then it went on another bull tear until it capitulated again. That was 77 days. So we tend to have 77-day ballpark cycles. And sometimes we get two of them in a row, which is why we had this 147 over here. This tear down from top to bottom, 84 bars, still pretty close to 77. This one over here, 128 days, close to twice 177. And then over here, we are currently at, around that range, coming up to the halving here. We're at 102 days. So it's my analysis that we're likely to see another month, of Bitcoin kind of deciding what it's going to do. But we probably will see right around, conveniently August 2nd. I don't know if anyone knows what August 2nd might be. August 2nd, we've talked about this. What is that? Oh, yeah, the Litecoin halving. That's what it is. So Litecoin is going to go through a halving, meaning Litecoin miners with, like the L7s, for example, script miners, whatever coins they were getting for the hash rate they were putting out, they get half that now, as of August 2nd. So that's going to create scarcity in the continued introduction of supply. And typically when the supply slows down and demand's the same, it functionally increases the price. So I think that that's going to pump money in the market. And my guess is it's looking like Bitcoin is probably going to be poised for a rally right around then as well. I think Litecoin's going to rally and Bitcoin's going to rally and Doge is going to rally. Not financial advice, but it sure looks like that. Sure looks like that's about what we're going to see. So just pay attention to these levels here too. We have pretty firm resistance from over here and over here at like, what is it, like 32K. And so we're kind of looking at testing that right here, this like 31.5K or so. We usually get wicks to go above it, but that's where the body of the candles are going to probably end up being. So we are testing resistance. That's what we're doing. If we go above it, cool beans. That's really going to be a key for the end of the month. Let's take a look at monthly candles on Bitcoin, right? Zooming in sometimes on TradingView is just, it's a task. It's a task. I wish it was like FL Studio where I could just, click a little section and goes whoop and zooms in, but it's not. So anyways, these are monthly candles. So if this candle here ends bullishly, then there's a lot of indicators that suggest we are in a bullish trend. Does that mean we're out of a bear market? It could be. It actually legitimately could mean a signal that we're out of a long-term bullish trend. So just pay attention. We really do have to basically break above this 36 level. The body of this candle right here really is the weight of our resistance on a monthly level. So we break 36 or even close to it at the end of the month and the June. Come on, baby. We got how many more days left? Like 7. So the next week's going to be a big deal for Bitcoin's long-term price action. So hope your rocket fuel is topped off, because we could be about to have some fun. And then looking at just a few other things real quick here. Grayscale Bitcoin, because of the ETFs, if you do happen to have like 401ks, Roth IRAs, that kind of thing, and you have a Grayscale Bitcoin position, it had a really, really nice rip up. And mind you, I'm pro self-custody, so I don't recommend people go and get Grayscale Bitcoin unless they're intending to keep money in your 401k and not take a hit on that. And you just want to have Bitcoin price action on some of that money. A lot of people are of that persuasion, so if that's your deal, you can still benefit from it. We had this huge rip up on Grayscale Bitcoin in the last day or so. And if you were to look at the price action, from floor to where we're at now, dude, that was 42, almost 43%. Like you could have really made some goofball money. And even if you were to, here, I'll redo that. Even if you were to have like looked at these floors over here when everything was kind of getting pretty dark for these, dude, that was 130%. So for anybody who happen to have Grayscale Bitcoin, mom or dad, or someone who just has a 401k from a company and you can allocate where it goes, that was probably a good move. And so if your money is locked up in those places, Grayscale Bitcoin might be a place for you to get some Bitcoin price action over general stock markets. Pay attention to that. Let's look at Litecoin real quick here. Litecoin, we had this big old cup here. It looked like it got dark for a moment, but I was talking to everybody about this. Like, pay attention. Litecoin's coming up on a halving. Litecoin's proven to be a solid proof of work. Litecoin has long history. It's really high up there with Bitcoin in terms of wide scale adoption. And we had just beautiful price action here. If you were to have picked up something around that bottom where we were talking about it on this show here, you'd be sitting at 24% right now, and hopefully you are loading those bags in anticipation for August 2nd, this Litecoin halving. Typically, we tend to see before the halving a rally up. People kind of speculate what's going to happen. And so this is 4-hour candles here, just showing you this big old wedge. We are tightening up in this wedge. We're hitting these boundaries. We almost got close to this bottom one. We just bounced right before we hit it. So I think people are like, yeah, it's probably not going to hit that. And they just scooped, and the bearish sentiment didn't continue. If we were to look at day candles, though, you can see, zooming out, like up here, really when we entered a true bearish position on Litecoin, that's kind of what started that descending triangle. And then all of these supports create the ascending support level. So we are tightening up. As you can clearly see, we're really getting a wedgie right here towards this halving. So I expect this price action to really stay, honestly, no higher than 93 and no lower than 82 on an average. We're going to tighten up here. So we are in the accumulation zone. So pay attention, because when it snaps, and I think it really will snap, I am shocked and appalled if it does not snap. So if even right now, with where these prices are at, if this were to go in this general area where we've seen plenty of rallies before, you're looking at 150% if on money today, not accumulated at lower levels. If you were to look at these upper levels, we have precedent for it. 230, and then if you go to the very top of where we have had all-time high, you're looking at 366%. So I do think that Litecoin is likely to be a good trade, and quite frankly, I think right after that, Doge is likely to pop, because people who mine Litecoin are on Script algorithm. People who mine Doge are on Script algorithm. So people who mine Litecoin also mine Doge. And you can do this thing called dual mining, where you basically throw your random number through your algorithm, you stuff it into Dogecoin and Litecoin, and you get a little Doge and a little bit of Litecoin. Most miners have been doing that since Doge dropped. So pay attention. These big miners have tons and tons of Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Doge, and they use Doge for moving money off markets. Whenever they take their profits, they slip it over to Doge. So pay attention to Doge, because again, looking at Doge's charts, we're in this nice bottom. Like, I don't know that it gets sweeter than this as far as like a USD look, where we are literally below our average support level. And you can see it's magnetically sucking it back to this level. Dude, if you're going to scoop Doge, you're going to look like a smart trader if you scoop Doge at these levels, because knowing a Litecoin halving's coming up, knowing good news is coming out for Bitcoin right now, it's kind of an easy trade. Like, we're looking more at like the monthly time frame, probably between now and September. But if you were to get bags here, you're probably not going to look stupid. I don't know that we go too much lower on Doge, period, just because it has a cult following. So I know I sound super excited, because I am. I'm also caffeinated and on Adderall today, so yeehaw. That is the markets for the day. I figure we might as well say what's up to the crew. We got a full house in here. What's up, Indo, my boy? Thanks for being on, even though we're a little later than usual. Happy Friday, or Friday, or whatever you want to call it. Yo, from Crypto Scout. What's up, brother? I love you. Love you, bro. Bungalow Bill, I haven't seen you on the chat. I appreciate seeing you here. What's up? Hi. Also, I love the was that Macho Man Randy Savage? I love that. Indo saying, do you think this could be a serious case of people buying the news? Yeah, I think a lot of traditional investors and baby boomers who have a lot of money in ETF qualified exchanges, I think they're moving their money speculatively into like Grayscale, and that confirmation is having crypto investors go, maybe I should play that price action. Salty Prepper, what's up, brother? What's up? Appreciate that. And Gundy, faithful and true. Happy effing awesome Friday, Crypto Nation. I see you. And so, yeah, I feel pump it. It's time to pump it. Do not dump it. So let's get into some news. We got some cool stuff happening. Present your screen tab. Yeah, that one. Cool. Let's roll. So, Nevada regulators order Prime Trust to shut down operations. Here's why. This article by Bitcoinist. So, a leading Nevada-based digital asset custodian, Prime Trust, received a cease and desist order from state regulators on Thursday, June 22nd. This happened after the crypto custodian failed to satisfy customer withdrawal requests. Ouch, don't do that. On June 21st. Describing Prime Trust's financial condition as critically deficient, Nevada's Department of Business and Industry alleged that the company has a shortfall of customer funds. The business regulator said the firm is in unsafe or unsound condition to continue the business. Prime Trust breached its custodian duties, says Nevada regulators. Nevada's business regulators said the company has material and willfully contravened its fiduciary duties to customers by not safeguarding assets under its care. The regulator gave the crypto company 30 days to respond to the cease and desist order. Also, the company can request an administrative hearing to contest the desist order. The cease and desist order came after Prime Trust's rival BitGo announced it was abandoning the firm's acquisition. Earlier in the week, before the desist order, BitGo took to Twitter and disclosed that it made a hard decision to give up on acquiring Prime Trust after considerable efforts to find a path forward. What if you talked about breaking up with a girl like that? We made a hard decision to give up acquiring Stacey Bandera after considering efforts to find a path forward. You talk about it that way. It's funny. BitGo had announced that it signed a non-binding letter of intent to acquire Prime Trust earlier in June. However, on June 22nd, the wallet provider and crypto asset custodian decided to terminate the takeover. The initial acquisition terms would have allowed BitGo access to Prime Trust's banking connection and asset management offerings. Meanwhile, the defendant company is yet to issue a statement of or commitment on the latest developments. And so this is a look at crypto total market cap. And they're showing us this because currently stands at 1.133 trillion in the daily chart. So you can see in general, crypto's up. Other events around trust companies' desist order. Prime Trust problems started after raising $107 million in capital in June 2022 at an undisclosed valuation despite the crypto winter. And since then, the firm has faced many challenges after the crypto winter rolled in with full force. In November 2022, the crypto custodian replaced its CEO, Tom Pegeler, and laid off a third of its workforce in January after shutting down operations in Tejas, or Texas, as the kids call it. In addition, its payment subsidiary, Bank, BANQ, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protections in the U.S. on June 13th. Bank listed $17.72 million in assets, 5.4 million in liabilities, and 17.5 million in unauthorized transfers to Fortress NFT Group in the bankruptcy filing. It also cited an illicit transmission of trade secrets and proprietary information to Fortress. As expected, other crypto firms have already started damage control against the troubled digital asset custodian. In June 22 announcement, maybe it's June 22nd. I think it's 22nd. TrueUSD assured users that TUSD stablecoin has no exposure to Prime Trust. So here's the verbatim. Prime Trust has suspended all deposits of fiat and digital assets. Hashtag TrueUSD. TUSD is not affected by this situation. We have no exposure to Prime Trust and maintain multiple USD rails for minting and redemption. Rest assured, all your funds are safe with TUSD, TrueUSD said. Interesante. So, what do you think about this? Is this FUD? Do you think this is just people being bad at business? Like, what's your take on that? I'm leaning towards some people are bad at business. That's kind of what it feels like to me. But that's enough from that. Either way, as far as stable coins go, I liked TUSD for a while, and I also liked Binance USD, but at this point in time, all the FUD around USDT is kind of gone. Like, they've kind of proven themselves over and over again, and at this point in time, like, I'm more persuaded to use a coin like if I'm going to use a stable coin, use Tether. It seems to actually have been hardened through hail storms. So I don't know that I care about too many other stable coins, but it's cool they exist. Next article here. U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis says SEC's decision to sue Coinbase is not the right way to do business in America. So U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis is criticizing the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for deciding to sue the top U.S.-based crypto exchange Coinbase. In a new interview with Yahoo Finance, the Republican lawmaker from Wyoming says the SEC has mishandled the Coinbase situation. We know that Coinbase went to the SEC and asked for guidance on how to comply with SEC regulations, and they did not get an adequate response, and then were slapped with an enforcement action. That's how it works. To me, that seems like it's not the right way to do business in America. So earlier this month, the SEC sued Coinbase, alleging the publicly traded company had operated as an unregistered securities exchange broker and clearing agency. Lummis, a Bitcoin supporter, also says that Congress will soon discuss an updated version of the bipartisan bill she introduced in 2022 with Democrat Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York to bring regulatory clarity to the digital asset space. Yes, you will see an updated version of the Lummis-Gillibrand Responsible Financial Innovation Bill. You'll see it in about 2 or 3 weeks, and I was hoping you'd see it before the 4th of July, but Legislative Council has had to push it onto the back burner in order to address some issues that are very much on the front burner, but you'll see it soon. It beefs up the consumer protection component of the bill. We're trying to address the illicit use of digital assets, so there's enough personnel and authority to address the illicit use. We're still preserving the Howey test, but finding what we hope are clear guidelines between what is a commodity and what is a security. We're adding a self-regulatory organization on top when new technologies come along that have regulators and industry leaders in the room to help figure out how to shepherd them through the regulatory process. And so if you wonder what Lummis looks like, ooh, don't say that. This is Senator Lummis here, so appreciate her work. And then I don't know if they show, I think they show the other one, but either way, really cool to see, you know, Wyoming specifically is just super bullish on crypto and Bitcoin specifically. So it's nice to see some people actually leading where there's a vacuum. I mean, and as you know, every time there's a vacuum, people don't step up to the plate. It creates a power vacuum and someone steps up to the plate. So I sincerely thank the representatives from Wyoming for filling that gap and making sure they're doing what's right. And I'm actually quite frankly surprised to see a senator from New York. New York tends to be pro centralization, but the fact that we do have at the very least one person from New York, where was it? It's what the bill's called. Kirsten Gillibrand of New York. So Kirsten Gillibrand, at very least, is representing properly. So, and she's pretty and has cool hair. So that's cool. So my take on this whole thing is we are starting to see people recognize that This whole Bitcoin crypto industry is a big deal. If America doesn't, decide on this properly and in a timely fashion, the ship has sailed. It'll be harder to play catch up. So, I for one do not want to go that direction. I want to see us make good, prudent decisions and see America prosper for that, and the rest of the world, frankly. For all my friends in the across the pond in Europe and in Asia and in Aussie land, I appreciate you. We're going to build this together. So, our headline for the day: RFK Jr. I don't know if you've been paying attention to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but this guy is crushing it. What's up, Hourglass? What's up, bud? What, oi, mate? What you doing? So we got RFK outlining pro Bitcoin stance that's light on crypto regulations, and that, dude, listen, that has to be the case in the United States. If that isn't the case, people are just going to go where the getting's good. Like, already within the United States, people start businesses in Nevada or in Wyoming because the laws are ideal for uh, lower taxes, for shielding from bad federal laws, things like that. And so already within the states, people shop around where to start their businesses. If the states themselves don't provide a solution, people are going to start businesses in other countries. That's what's going to happen. It's just the U.S. will lose if that happens. And so I think United States representatives need to wake up, stop playing dress up, and actually make good laws that protect people's life, liberty, and property, and get the government out of the way. The government's sole purpose in the United States is to protect rights that are enshrined in the United States Constitution. And the United States Constitution comes from the analysis by John Locke of the Judeo-Christian civil law. So everything that isn't like love the Lord your God, everything that's like, hey, don't steal your neighbor's stuff. How about you don't punch or kill your neighbor? And how about you stay off your neighbor's lawn? How does that sound? How about you don't stop your neighbor from traveling down public roads that we all have the right to travel down? You don't hide underneath bridges and jump out and threaten people to give you money, or else you'll stab them. You got to pay the troll toll to get into the boy's soul, as they say. So that's the whole purpose for United States law, right? It's like it's very live and let live. It's very, if I respect your right to life, liberty, and property, and you respect my right to life, liberty, and property, we can disagree on all sorts of things and still live peaceably. As soon as you don't respect my right to life, liberty, or property, we are not on the same page. Now, you have a right to defend yourself in any of these places, right? So when the United States government has laws that do not protect these basic rights, that's where problems start coming up, because people then have to start asserting their rights because the government's not doing the one thing. You had one job and you're not doing your one job. And so why are we paying people who aren't supporting and protecting our rights that they're swearing oaths to protect? Like, the whole deal with an oath is like you're putting your name, your reputation, your life on the line in good faith, and that's just not happening. So this is really important that we do have cats like RFK Jr. coming out and just being very on the nose about what needs to happen. So let's read the news here. So U.S. presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and strangely, he's a Republican. I'm sorry, he's a Democrat, but he's a classic liberal Democrat. So he's like a John F. Kennedy Democrat, not like a Joe Biden or a Barack Obama. He's for smaller government. He thinks the government should have a place, probably what Republicans used to be back in the early 2000s. But I actually think a lot of moderates might agree with his stance more than they might agree with someone like Donald Trump, for example. So interesting, and I'm personally, just full disclosure, I'm personally a libertarian. So that doesn't mean I vote for the Libertarian Party. It means my positions are pro-liberty. I think that, just for example, in when I was in high school and I was really learning about politics, I was like, George Bush is going for this whole like anti-gay marriage thing, and I'm like, look, I don't understand why the government has any right to say what people can and can't do between other consenting adults. Like, why does this involve the government? Why is the government in your bedroom? I don't like that. And on the flip side, I also disagreed with a lot of the big business, big government positions that were happening with like company bailouts, stuff like that. So I disagreed with the Republicans. I disagreed with the Democrats, and found myself to really be economically conservative and socially liberal. But mind you, I'm not socially liberal in the sense of like I hop on agendas. I'm socially liberal in the sense of like let people do what they want to do if they're not infringing on anyone's life, liberty, or property. So I found these like hardcore principles, and Bitcoin popped up and does back those same principles. It supports your right to life, liberty, and property. It doesn't involve any party that doesn't need to be there. It's peer to peer. It's so. That being said, it's cool to see someone who is wearing a blue name tag doing something that is more aligned to the center, right? So U.S. presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. outlined policies that support Bitcoin and self-sovereignty. Speaking Thursday to New York Post, Kennedy said he would introduce policies that support Bitcoin and the freedom to transact, and that allow individuals to manage their own Bitcoin wallets, nodes, and passwords. He added that he would endorse a light touch regulatory environment in the US with only the narrowest controls that are necessary to prevent money laundering. And I think that's just KYC on exchanges. Despite his support for decentralized digital currencies, Kennedy expressed a staunch opposition to central bank digital currencies. So Kennedy is against CBDCs. Okay. We know also on the Republican side, Ron DeSantis is against CBDCs. I haven't heard. Has anyone heard what Donald Trump's positions are on CBDCs? I know, Biden and friends are hyper pro CBDCs, but does anyone know what Trump's positions are on CBDCs? Could anyone look that up? Just interested. He believes these pose a risk of oppressive control and are likely to be misused. I oppose central bank digital currencies because they are instruments of control and oppression and are certain to be abused, he asserted. How refreshing is that to hear a serious and legitimate presidential candidate actually say that in plain language? I oppose central bank digital currencies because they are instruments of control and oppression. Chef's kiss. And are certain to be abused. Like, this dude's eyes wide open. And he had a long, interview with the Joe Rogan, the one and only. And he discussed a lot of these positions in full. So if anyone is interested to hear more on what this gentleman, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is saying, go ahead and check out that interview between him and Joe Rogan, because I think it's illuminating. But I oppose central bank digital currencies because they are instruments of control and oppression and are certain to be abused, he asserted. The upcoming U.S. presidential race. So Kennedy's viewpoint reinforces the idea that digital assets will be a key battleground in the 2024 United States presidential election. Can we pause on that for a second? Digital assets will be a key battleground in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. A lot of people who aren't even like hyper pro Bitcoin are like, I have Bitcoin. Why are they being weird about it? So you have people who are very centrist, who are not anarcho-capitalists, who are not, libertarians, who are just normal people. A lot of them may even be very blue-leaning or very red-leaning, and they're all agreeing that, like, hey, this really matters. Like, if the government's saying that I have to be tracked and tagged, and they want to be in my bed, and they want to observe everything I'm doing, and they want to know who and why I'm spending anything over $600. Like, a lot of people are not for that. They do not want the government, joining them in bed like that. So, very on the nose. At Thursday's State of Crypto Summit in New York, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong highlighted the importance of the upcoming presidential election for the future of the cryptocurrency market. He said, frankly, the 2024 election is also a factor here because it's kind of politically unpopular to be anti-crypto right now. That's very nicely said. He could have been way more heavy-handed with that. Armstrong also addressed ongoing legal issues involving Coinbase and its competitor Binance, while reminding attendees the Coinbase interaction with the SEC is a civil matter regarding the definition of commodities and securities. He drew a contrast with other companies facing more serious allegations. The other issue we're seeing is different. There are criminal matters. There are allegations of illegal trading, commingling of funds, executives and CEOs being named personally. None of that is really an issue at Coinbase, Armstrong stated. So, and also, mind you, all of these criminal matters, these are centralized issues. These are not decentralized digital asset issues. These are centralized digital asset issues. And so I think, specifically up here where he was saying that people should, he supports Bitcoin and the freedom to transact, and that allow individuals to manage their own Bitcoin wallet. So if you're managing your own wallet, it means you're holding keys. Dirty Shovel Gang. Can I get a hashtag Dirty Shovel Gang? You're managing your own nodes and passwords. So this dude gets it. He straight up gets it. And I'm excited to see like the debates where some gentleman like Kennedy might actually be forcing people to have real conversations on issues instead of just saying like, crooked Hillary. Well, he's a bastard. I don't care for the mudslinging. It doesn't help our country. It's beside the point. It makes, the conversation about people's interpersonal dealings and not about the policies that we actually care about and affect our lives. So I'd like to see this really sober up and have like honest conversations about real topics and not any of this mudslinging, because it's just annoying. Hot take. So shout outs to RFK Jr. Appreciate him. I think that's rad. So our next article here, Coinbase walks away with Supreme Court victory in an arbitration case. And man, Brian Armstrong's head is shiny. So check this. Supreme Court sided with Coinbase in a 5-4 ruling that reinforces arbitration. The case was argued back in March and is part of October 2022 to 2023 Supreme Court term. In March, the justices were divided on the case. Justice Kavanaugh, who delivered the opinion, said, when a federal district court denies a motion to compel arbitration, the losing party has a statutory right to an interlocutory appeal. I don't know what that word means. Interlocutory. It means, let's look at it together. Made during a process of legal action and not final. Got it. So they have a right to a non-final appeal is what it looks like. So that's really encouraging. So Paul Grewal, Coinbase's chief legal officer, tweeted that Coinbase is grateful to the Supreme Court of its careful review. Another example of why I believe in the American court system. That's cool to see that. The rule of law is sometimes slow and at times disappointing, but it remains our last best and an imperfect democracy, he added. That's cool. Coinbase versus, how do you pronounce that? Bielski sought to allow Coinbase to halt customer lawsuits with the crypto company, moved them out of court and into a private arbitration. So it stems from a class action suit filed for Bielski on behalf of Coinbase users, which alleged that Coinbase failed to replace funds fraudulently taken from the users' accounts. According to the original plaintiff, a scammer pretended to be a PayPal representative, accessed his Coinbase account and drained it roughly $31,000. However, Coinbase's customer service caused a nightmare because the bots did not have the responses or ability to help the situation. And so that's a good call out. Like, bots are helpful when things are normalized, but when you have things that are not normalized, you need human intervention sometimes. So for anyone who's like, bots are going to replace humans completely, they're not. They're going to replace some situations, and for everything else, there's humans. The Supreme Court case is not the only legal battle Coinbase currently faces. It has two open cases with the SEC. One is Coinbase versus SEC, which seeks to force the SEC to provide a clear regulation for crypto industry. Then there's the SEC versus Coinbase, in which regulatory agency accuses Coinbase of operating an unregistered exchange and listing and selling unregistered securities. So cool to see. At very least, there's some wins here. People are being reasonable, and I think overall this story shows de-escalation in some of the legal attacks on these exchanges here that are being above board and trying to make good conversation. So that's cool to see. Bitcoin bobbles, then returns to perch above 30.1K as investors weigh ETF prospects, macroeconomic data. So a hawkish Bank of England rate hike and the latest U.S. jobless claims stirred the markets a little. A crypto executive writes that approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF is almost certain. And this is going to happen. It's going to happen. And when it does, you're going to see big money come into the space. You're going to see like JP Morgan, Chase Bank type money. So after surging for 2 days on spot Bitcoin ETF euphoria, the price of Bitcoin, the largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, stalled. BTC was recently trading at about 30,000, roughly where it stood 24 hours ago, when investor optimism spiked after three financial services powerhouses, including BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, applied for Bitcoin spot ETFs. Bitcoin sank briefly to about 29,500 early Thursday after cryptocurrency custodian BitGo terminated its acquisition of rival Prime Trust. No, we just talked about that part. A rare sour note in an otherwise upbeat week, but quickly regained its perch. In an email to CoinDesk, Edward Moya, senior market analyst for foreign exchange market maker Oanda, highlighted crypto's recent momentum amid growing concern about central bank prescriptions to tame inflation and their impact on economic expansion. Wall Street is becoming a little pessimistic regarding the global growth outlook as global central bank tightening enters a new phase, which all of a sudden has made crypto look a bit more attractive, Moya wrote. Although he suggested cautiously, crypto's current upswing could wane. And yeah, I don't think this is up forever. I think we have to confirm the end of this month with Bitcoin in a bullish pattern. And then I think we're going to see a macro bullish pattern, but it won't be only up every day, right? Yeah, and Indo saying it may be smart to hold some Coinbase stocks. I agree. I think there's not financial advice, but there's good reason to be bullish on Coinbase. Yeah, baby, you like it. Ether, the second largest crypto in market value, followed a similar path to BTC, dipping around the time of the BitGo announcement via Twitter, but then regaining ground to recently change hands near the 1900 threshold it reached on Wednesday for the first time since the beginning of June. ETH was recently up a few fractions of a percent point. Most other cryptos were largely in the green, albeit not as impressive as the previous day. Cardano and Polkadot, the tokens of ADA and DOT smart contract protocols, Cardano and Polkadot, were up more than 2 or 1% respectively. So, people still see these as they know they're going to be securities, so they're just being smart about it. U.S. coin indexes were mixed, with the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite and S&P 500 rising 0.8% and 0.2% respectively. But the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or DJIA, ticking down slightly. Investors seem to shrug off the Bank of England's 50 basis points, or BPS, rate hike, which veered from other central banks' recent dovishness. Inflation in the UK remained at stubbornly high 8.7% in May. Crypto markets also seemed largely unimpressed by hawkish comments by the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, who reiterated the bank's intent to raise interest rates later this year. The Fed halted a more than year-long streak of rate hikes earlier this month. The latest weekly jobless claims report, meanwhile, had little effect on assets, coming in just a few thousand claims higher than expectations. In an email to Coinbase or in an email to CoinDesk, Bob Baxley, which that sounds like a band, like a ska band. Bob Baxley, the CTO of decentralized finance DeFi infrastructure provider Maverick Protocol, noted a narrative shift is likely to propel the digital asset industry forward in a way that just wasn't on our collective radar a week or so ago. It's almost certain that a Bitcoin ETF will get approved, either BlackRock's or any other flurry of recent filings. And it's clear that a large number of heavyweights in traditional finance want exposure to the digital asset industry more generally. Baxley wrote, adding that he will also be interested to see how Ethereum performs in upcoming months. There's just so much energy in the ecosystem given the tremendous amount of developer activity, and we've covered that. This whole bear market, like developers were moving and grooving and jiving. Like we had so many things come out. Like I might even do a recap of just all the things that happened in this bear market because, dude, builders are out here across a growing number of functionalities. He wrote, you have DeFi and NFTs, of course, but you also have a host of new applications and layer twos that are getting built out at breakneck speed. So that's really, really cool to see. What should you take from this whole article? The bear market seems to be flipping because general sentiment is flipping. And so people have built a lot of things. We're starting to see pressure being put on governing bodies to actually say what's a security and what is a commodity. And you had a ton of just development happen in the space. So no matter where things land, people have the tools they need to actually build real products and solutions and use cases and not just be speculative, right? So if you're in the space and you're holding bags, you will be vindicated at some point here. A new Bitcoin mining giant prepares to enter the fray. So once Hut 8 and US Bitcoin Corp complete their merger, the resulting US-based company will be one of the largest public miners in North America. And these are little miner S19s, it looks like. So major Bitcoin miner Hut 8 Mining and US Bitcoin Corp are set to merge to create a North American crypto mining giant. If all goes according to plan, the U.S. domiciled company named Hut 8 Corp will have a market capitalization of $990 million, almost $1 billion. They're almost $1 billion company, and shareholders will have equal ownership of the company's stock. As first reported by the Miner Mag, its new hash rate of 7.5 exahash. And by the way, if you ever talk to me and say 7,500 terahash. Listen, 1,000. You hearing this? 1,000 terahash is 1 exahash. The total global Bitcoin hash rate is like 3.6 exahash, something like that. So, I'm sorry, 300. Yeah, 360 exahash, something like that. I'm just going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up. Say I won't. Because I want to know that off the top of my head. And I'll show you. And you'll be smart. You'll be like, wow, I know so much. 330 exahash. So, yeah, right here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So, as soon as you have 1,000 terahash, it's an exahash. Okay. Uno exahash. And so you can see the highest the hash rate really has ever been was pretty recent. And maybe I got to go over here to get to it. 448 exahash. So it looks like right around that amount is what the total global hash rate has available. So anyways, so they're going to have out of this 350 exahash or so, they're going to have 7.5 exahash. So not bad. Making it one of the biggest public Bitcoin miners in North America, according to a U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filing. Marathon Digital, or MARA, is still far and away the most dominant with 23 exahash of installed capacity. So they have like 23 out of 450 right? But the post-merger company will be closer in size to Riot blockchain, Riot, which has 10.5 exahash capacity. So just understand, like, between 7 and 23 exahash is what a really, really big mining operation is capable of doing today. There's reasons for that. It's one, it's hard to find enough power in one area. It's hard to source the ASICs. It takes a lot of experience and professionals to actually install it properly, keep the cooling and all of that right, to maintain it, because sometimes the hash boards start to take a dump. There's reasons for that. So now you know. I know more than you asked. Hash rate refers to the computational power of a network. Each hash represents a guess at a cryptographic code. The miners whose rig guess correctly win the right to verify a block worth of transactions and add it to the blockchain, thereby collecting a block reward. So having a higher hash rate means more chances to collect those rewards. 1 exahash is equal to 1 quintillion hashes. Bitcoin miners were recently hit hard by the crypto winter. That's an understatement. A dramatic drop in the price of largest digital assets from its $69,044 in November 2021 all-time high meant some mining operations were struggling to make profit and had to flog their crypto reserves or shut down completely. This happened to tons of people. A lot of people, when they hit the bull market, they just doubled down. They got loans and they bought more stuff and are like, always green, always green. And then as soon as they hit a bear market, they're like, well, we didn't consider this. And they got pwned. Like they had to sell everything. They had to go bankrupt. We've covered a ton of those happening. And so my professional recommendation to people is, if you build a Bitcoin mining operation or any crypto mining operation, or frankly, any business, build with the bear market in mind. What if you have like 6 months of no profits? Are you still able to keep the lights on? What's your strategy? How are you going to pivot and taper off as things get tougher? Because if you can just keep the lights on when things are hard, when things are popping off, you're sitting pretty, because all your competition had to fold and they're starting at square one a lot of the time. So that's some free business advice, which I can give you, not financial advice though. At one point, publicly traded Bitcoin miners, Marathon Digital and Riot Blockchain, had to sell more Bitcoin than they produced. Ouch. Other companies closed their doors completely. And so what they had to do here is they basically told investors, like, look, when the prices return to these pretty green numbers, this is what this will be worth. So if you front us right now and you help us float while we're going through this bear market, you'll 5x your money, right? So they're like, okay, cool. And so they convinced enough people to put their money in there. So things are on the up. The price of Bitcoin has surged this year, outpacing the increases in difficulty, meaning more mining companies could keep the lights on and make profit. Hut 8 Mining is one of those companies that has a healthy supply of working capital and negative net debts, according to the Miner Mag stats. The benefits is Hut 8 is financially healthier than many others, with nearly 10,000 Bitcoin on its balance sheets and very minimal debt. Nice job here. Hut 8's current holdings stand at 9,233 BTC. How do you like them apples? Worth roughly 277 million at current prices, according to Bitcoin treasuries. The only other publicly traded miner with a large stash is Marathon Digital, which holds 12,232 Bitcoin, worth today over $364.2 million. The miner can also boast of not having to sell large amounts of Bitcoin holdings when other public miners have had to during the last year's downturn. This merger will help it to take advantage of its financial position and grow its revenue with a large self-mining capacity and a more diversified business model is now added. Hut 8 has told Decrypt about its model of diversification. The miner has 5 data centers unrelated to Bitcoin mining. So they're just normal data centers doing co-location, which provide an income stream that's detached from crypto market prices. The miner also earlier this month signed an agreement with Canadian public health company Interior Health to handle its data center needs. And this is a model that I've seen work quite well because, for a mining operation, you need a location where you can run cables neatly. You have a lot of airflow. You have a lot of power available to you. All those things are requirements for co-location data centers and Bitcoin mining. So if you can just have a section of your building dedicated to co-locations, which typically that doesn't take up much rack space, and then you have the rest of it set up with Bitcoin mining, and as Bitcoin mining becomes less profitable, you can just offer more co-location slots, no big deal. But unfortunately, it does take a lot of skill and experience and hard work to make a profitable co-location business. So there's a lot to it, and I think a lot of people underestimate what it takes to do that. But anyways, and today it announced an agreement to host approximately 6,400 ASIC miners to grow its capacity. It said that new machines will increase its installed hash rate to approximately 3.2 exahash. And we can find out a little calculator situation here. Calculator, I love you, calculator. So if you do 6,400 divided by, I'm tripping, you do 3 to terahash divided by 6,400. No, I did that wrong. Whatever, it doesn't matter. They're probably S19s. Also said successfully pivoted to the world's high performance computing, or HPC. And so what is that? It's basically AI training cards. There's a lot of what HPCs are. CEO Jaime Leverton previously told Decrypt that it wanted to potentially leverage our GPU machines to provide AI, machine learning, or VFX, visual effects rendering services to customers. So with all of this high performance computing, they're running things like the NVIDIA RTX A6000s, A8000s, A40s. Those are cards made for rendering AI type computing. So I know. The US is becoming an increasingly difficult place for crypto industries to function. The SEC has hit high-profile crypto companies with lawsuit after lawsuit, and its chair has even said that the states doesn't need more digital currency. But Bitcoin miners don't seem particularly phased. Experts told Decrypt the regulators are more focused on what they see as unregistered securities being sold on exchanges and are unlikely to enact a nationwide ban on Bitcoin mining, like what we see in China. And frankly, I don't think that that's legal. I don't think you should be able to tell people what they can and can't do with their own property. Like that's perfectly legal constitutionally. So yeah, interesting story we have here. So Bitcoin mining is coming back after all the weak hands folded. I think that's the takeaway here. So that is our story for today. That's our show for today too. So I hope everyone enjoyed this show. Thank you so much for joining me here on Crypto and Coffee, only on Decentralized TV. And I want you to keep calm and hodl on. Look, I showed you possibly good pickups. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Doge, they all might be good options. So, you know what it is. Let's jam out, and I'll wish you a very happy weekend. Keep calm, huddle on, don't sweat it. You're going to be all right, baby. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Mm-mm. 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 What's that? That's you having a good weekend. Freaking way to love you. Bye. Ooh, let that beat drop, baby. Let that beat drop.